Hello, Rabbi YY Rubinstein, standing in for Rabbi Chapnik for the 6 minute of our Torah. I think this is the first time that I've done this since I moved to Jerusalem. You can probably have guessed that I now live in Israel, but in fact I'm no longer wearing a tie. But let's see if we can jump straight in here and say something important about this week's Parsha. The Parsha is, of course, Vayishlach, and famously Yaakov Avinu sends two messengers ahead of him to discover exactly what his brother Esau is up to and is planning. This is the great clash between the two great brothers, Esau and Yaakov, twin brothers Esau and Yaakov. And of course, the two messengers, Rashi explains, are not real messengers, or rather not flesh and blood messengers, but rather they're angels. He sends two angels to go and find out what the plans of Esau are. And the obvious question is, why wouldn't he send normal people? It seems almost a bit of a chutzpah to say, you, over here, angels, go and do this for me. Why don't you just get your own people to do this? There's a hint in this, according to the Al-Shach HaKodesh, in what it says. It says, Vayishlach Yaakov sends Malachim, lefonav el Esav, to his brother Esau, Artsa Seir, to the land of Seir, and the city, Sedeh, Edom, to the city of Edom. This is, of course, his capital. So why does he not send people? Well, first of all, he's been gone for a very long time. He's been busy with his father-in-law, the father-in-law from hell, called Lovan, who's cheated him all those years. And indeed, part of his message to Esau is, Im Lovon Garti, I've been spending some time with Lovon. But Rashi says the word Garti, which in Hebrew means to stay with, to dwell with. Also, if you take the letters and rearrange them a little bit, it's the same letters as Tariag, which is the letters that spell out the numerical value of 613. In other words, even though I was cheated and swindled by him many, many times, I never resorted to his behaviour. I kept the Tariag mitzvahs. I wasn't corrupted by living with a corrupt person. Anyway, so basically, he doesn't know exactly what Esau has done in these intervening years that he's been in Chutz La'aretz. What has he been building? What has he been doing? And anyway, where is this place called Sedeh Edom, the city of Edom, in the land of Seir? Where is that? This is a city and a country that's been established in his absence. And they didn't have ways in those days. So you couldn't sort of say, you guys go, here's the iPhone with Waze in it, and it'll tell me exactly how to get there. So they'll spend a lot of time trying to find out where exactly he is. Secondly, of course, remember, Esau, as we met, when we met him before, is the master of falsehood, pretense, seeming authenticity. He was able to fool his father Yitzchak that he was really a very sincere, moral, frum person. And of course he was anything but. So, if he could fool the great Yitzchak, then whoever Yaakov would send could easily be fooled and not be able to know. But if he sends angels, we solve both those problems. Angels know exactly where everything is in the world. So, when they go, they'll be there straight away. They'll be able to see what's in his mind and come back with the answer, which of course, as we know, he's coming with an army of 400 soldiers. It doesn't look as though it's going to be a promising reunion between the two brothers. So he gets to know exactly and precisely what's in the man's mind. And this land of Seir, as we said before, land of Edom, land of Seir and the city of Edom, the capital city of Edom, there's a hint to really what is in Esau's mind. Now, you probably know, those of you who know me, that I am Scottish, and I come from Glasgow in Scotland, and growing up in Scotland, there were no Jewish schools. I went to a non-Jewish school. We had to learn the works of the great national poet of Scotland, Robert Burns. And in it, one of his poems is called Tam O'Shanter, and it talks about a fellow called Tam O'Shanter. That's like a pun, because a Tam O'Shanter is a hat that Scots people wore. He's this guy, Tom O'Shanter, goes back from work, stops at the local pub, and gets himself quite drunk. And then, of course, he's got to go home to his wife. And the poet, Burns, writes, his home where sits our sulky, sullen dames, where our sulky and sullen wives are waiting. And listen to this bit, gathering her brow like a gathering storm, nursing her wrath to keep it warm. Always liked that. Well, it's the exact same with Esau. He has been gathering his brows like a gathering storm and nursing his wrath to keep it warm. Because usually with time, resentments diminish. Not with him, he's keeping it going. And that's why he calls his land Artsa Seir, the land of Seir. Seir is the word for hair. It's that reminder of that Jew, my brother, the Jew boy, who dressed up like me and wore fur in his hands so my father would think it was him and he'd steal my blessing. And why is it called the city of Edom? That reminds him constantly of the red lentil soup, or potage, whatever they call it, that he used to steal my blessing as the firstborn. It doesn't look it's going to be a great and warm and loving reunion. But with a little bit of help from Hashem, that's what it turned out to be. But in that confrontation between the two brothers is the prototype and the blueprint for the constant, centuries-old conflict between Edom and Yaakov, the Jewish people and the non-Jewish world. And whenever the rabbis had to go to negotiate with Rome or to try to get a decree annulled, they examined exactly how this confrontation played out, what tactics Yaakov used. There's a lot in this story. He was nursing his wrath to keep it warm. Wishing you all a very good Shabbos.